Hello, my friends. Just before we get into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that all of my courses remain fully available and you can do them at your own pace. Yes, I took a courageous pivot and scaled down my business, but I also know how powerful these courses have been for thousands of people over the last 15 years in kickstarting their own courageous pivots. Whether it's to take ownership over your health and learn to eat well and serve your family well, or maybe it was to learn how to master your money, tune into your heart, build community, build a business. It's all still there, ready and waiting for you. We even have our Culinary One Pass, which is your all-access pass to all of the courses I previously taught through the Academy of Culinary Nutrition. Head on over to fun.megantelpner.com/shop to explore the courses. You can use code THANKYOU25 to get 25% off your choice of courses. Thanks for listening, and here is today's episode. Welcome back, dear friends, to the Courageous Pivot podcast. I'm your host, Meghan Telpner, and today is a guest interview day, which is very exciting because our guest today is my dear, dear friend, UJ Ramdas. UJ is the co-founder from 2013 to 2019 of Intelligent Change, which is the company that created the 5-Minute Journal and the productivity planner that celebrates more than 2.5 million copies sold. His work has been featured in the New York Times, the Tim Ferriss Show, and Entrepreneur Magazine, among others. After exiting the company pre-COVID, he's now focused on creative projects, investing, music, and he has a new project he's working on that he chooses not to tell us about yet because it's not out in the world. I know what it is. It's awesome. UJ and I are in a mastermind group together. I've known him for several years. In the actual interview, I go into more detail of the various connections we've had over the years. He facilitated a very profound workshop for me 2 years ago prior to my courageous pivot that had profound influence on the timing of my decision to scale down and make my pivot. And we both know a lot about each other because of the nature of the mastermind group that we are in. So with UJ, we dive into his own pivot in moving to Canada alone when he was 17, building his first company, taking an exit from that and something of a retirement for 6 years. But UJ is also a profoundly wise man. He has loads of sage wisdom to share. We get into the questions, the most important thing to be asking yourself if you are coming up on your own pivot, if you're feeling stagnant, if the spark has gone out in your daily life. We go deep. Stick with it. Stick through to the end. There's loads in here. You might even need a pen and paper around the halfway mark as we get into some of the things you can start doing in your life. I hope you enjoy this conversation with my friend UJ. Hello, UJ. Welcome to the Courageous Pivot podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You say that now. Wait till you hear the questions I have lined up for you.
I'm interested. I know your questions are good.
So a little background I'll share first, that you and I are in a mastermind group together. Mm-hmm. Which I don't know if people actually know what those are. Like, we don't sit around and plan strategy for business, which I used to think that's what it was. Like, we barely even talk about business, really.
Well, we cover the important stuff.
Yeah.
To really cover business effectively, you have to go outside of business.
Well, to do good business, you do. But yeah. So I was in a previous group for 4 or 5 years, and you had come in and did a session for us, which we're going to explore a little bit about that, which was about figuring out what the question is you really need to be asking yourself. Mm-hmm. And my answer to the question was, what are the parameters to put in place to make something that remains meaningful and joyful and small? And in that session, I sort of declared Freedom 45, which then got downgraded to Freedom 44. So you're responsible for me quitting, basically.
Excellent.
It was a powerful day, and I remember it very clearly. And you were the facilitator of that session, and for that, you hold a very special place in my life, and I'm grateful that you are open to joining for this conversation where we explore and take your life apart.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's
I
start.
enjoy the process of taking things apart, including my own life.
Well, then this will be great. This will be great. I want to start with the first courageous pivot I know of in your life, which was you were 17 or 18 years old and you left India to move to Canada by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point did you know you were going to do that? Like, how old were you? Why Canada? And sort of
Um,
what led up to the day you boarded that airplane?
well, it it was and then slowly, and then all at once,
Right.
just like a lot of things. And for me, it was understanding that the environment in which I'd never been to a foreign country in my life, I'd never seen snow. And so it was a slow but steady understanding that the environment in which I was living didn't feel particularly suited to my nature, to the way I go through life, to my philosophy. I ask a lot of questions. The questions is like the thing that drives me. That was the thing that drove that workshop. And India is not really a place where people really enjoy having their life taken apart or even their identity taken apart. It's a different world. It's
Right.
hierarchical. It's more political, if you know what I mean. In the time that I'd seen TV and I'd seen Western shows, it seemed like people in the West lived more consistently with the results of their actions, not as a result of where they were born or how they were born or the family to which they were born. And I hungered for that. I
Mm,
hungered to let my results be determined by my actions.
right.
And so I didn't know if Canada was going to be the place for me. All I knew was it was in India. So getting out was the first step to
Right.
discovering where that was, because I felt like a plant that was
Mm-hmm.
not in the ecosystem it was supposed to be in.
So did you have like normal teenage friends you hung out with and talked about this with? Because it's not, I mean, that wasn't my 16-year-old experience.
No, well, the thing is, I didn't really. I read a lot of books,
Yeah.
and I didn't have a lot of friends that were thinking about the future, as crazy as it sounds. When I was 15, 16, I was terrified
Mm-hmm.
because I realized I didn't really have a clear understanding of how my life was going to go and what was going to drive success in my life. And that was to me the most important thing. Like, let's figure out how to do this. And my friends weren't really interested in talking about that. So my philosophy in life has always been, if you don't have the friends you want, don't have friends. I'd
Right.
rather have no friends than have random idiots that are talking about things that are taking away from the thing I actually want to focus on. So it was trial and error. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was I picked Canada because York University gave me money, and so that was an easy reason to say, okay, that's the excuse. I'm getting out of here.
Right.
And my plan was essentially, look, if Canada, Toronto doesn't work out, I can always pivot. I can go to
Mm-hmm.
the States, I can go to the UK, I can go to Australia, and I'll figure it out. Like, when you're young, you have the ability to swing wildly a few times and reload really quickly. And I knew in my 20s and 30s I wouldn't really have that advantage. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have, like, now I have a lot more to lose than to gain by swinging wildly.
Right.
And so that sort of strategic advantage you only have in your teens and early 20s. So I really wanted to swing when I could swing. And I got lucky, I would say, in many ways, including the fact that Canada really worked for me. The philosophy worked for me. The culture somewhat worked for me, in the sense people here aren't hungry. There's no hunger of any kind. And so when you've been hungry for a long time, you come here and the competition is really, there's not much competition. Sure, when you come here first, when I came here first, I really didn't have any friends. Didn't have anyone who'd done what I'd done before.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't speak the language the way I do now, which was an adaptation, which made sense. And the one thing that I would say that was my advantage was I was just really hungry, and I was really interested in knowing how to get to where I wanted to get to.
Right.
Like, that was my obsession. And
It,
That was not a lot of my peers' obsession, which is
Right.
kind of bananas.
Well, it's bananas, but it's also not, because I feel like even now there's like a huge belief set that your life is the result of circumstance and not your own effort or your own merit, that it's you're born into a state of circumstances and everything bad that happens is because of those circumstances and you're a victim to it, which I think a lot of people adopt as a way out. So I don't think it's unusual that there weren't a bunch of 16-year-olds in India recognizing this, let alone a bunch of, 30 and 40-year-olds in Canada realizing that they have the freedom to make choices to change their current and future circumstance. I think that's a very rare trait, but maybe we both also surround ourselves with people who have that ability, which is what resonates.
Yeah, the only cost, it's not the only cost, it's a significant cost to go from that victim seat, shall we call it, to the agency seat, right? Where you
Right.
have agency. And the major shift is realize, hey, you can actually change things. And hey, the place you're in right now, it's kind of because you put yourself there.
Right.
And yes, there are certain things you can't change. Like there are many things you can't change, but the important stuff you can change.
Right.
That's what matters. The how you feel about life, your body to a decent extent, your mindset to a decent extent, the way you show up for relationships. You can change all those things. And it takes work. But what else are we doing?
Great question. What are we doing? Like, what are people doing? They're asleep for their life is what they're doing.
Yeah. So waking up isn't fun, but after you get a workout in, after you get a meditation in, after you get a journal in, it's nice.
I think for a lot of people, it becomes a little bit scary. And again, this is assumptions. And I'm not speaking to these people. I'm speaking to people who have had the bravery to wake up and keep awakening, because it doesn't stop. But that it can shake the foundation. Like, you realize something had to change, and you are an only child, and you chose to move to the other side of the world from your parents. Like even though you're like, there was more possibility and there was more potential for me there, that's a huge thing that a lot of people just aren't willing to shake.
Well, the thing that shakes isn't you.
Right.
The things that shakes is your idea of you.
Right.
Ideas change all the time. So if you can just watch the changing, it's like you're watching a movie.
That easy.
No, you still have to go through it, but it makes it easier.
Yes. Yeah. It's releasing some of that attachment for sure.
Yeah.
To the
It's
identity.
not you.
So you were confident. What did you study at York when you came here?
Cognitive science
Cognitive science. So
and marketing.
it's like the psychology of selling.
No, well, there were two separate.
Okay.
Majors, but really, I wanted to study cognitive science because the brain. I was all in on the brain,
Okay.
and I quickly realized I thought I'd be studying cool stuff like how do you change and habits and EEG, like using EEG to understand brainwave states and all of those beautiful
Right.
things that I was reading about and I was studying myself. And turns out all the people that were lecturing at me were old and fat and kind of unhappy.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want this. This is not what I signed up for. And if I'm going to study anyway, because I had to, I would have dropped out otherwise. But I had to finish to stick around in Canada. That was my only option. And so I figured if I'm going to stick around, I might as well study business, because I realized I wanted to have a lot of freedom in my life. And the only path I saw forward was business. So let's understand a little bit about it if I'm going to study anyway. So I pivoted to marketing because it made sense.
Okay. So you were confident you would study business and then be able to start a business and then make lots of money.
Well, I was confident that that was the best decision at the time.
Right.
Like,
what year was that? For context, what year was that?
I came in 2005.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, that was the idea. Look, I'm going to do this and we'll see how it goes.
Right.
It's a grand adventure.
So was there any kind of mental shift you had to make around money? in terms of what it meant to have wealth, build wealth? Was there any stigma associated with it from where you came from, or beliefs you had to overcome?
Not initially. I've done like a lot of money work in the last 6 years or so, but that was more recent. I think the work I had to do was more understanding how things work, understanding how business works over here, understanding the just tax, understanding expected value, which is like basically a fancy way of saying, how do you know if a financial decision is worth it? And I think the turning point always happens when you meet smart friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and for me, I guess the biggest decision I made when I came here was, well, I used to pirate a lot of books on torrents.
Just
I
for
just read so
clarification,
much.
that means illegally download.
That's correct.
Go on.
And I got to say, it was life changing stuff. And I used to load it up on my iPod that was gifted to me by my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And I just used to just listen to it over and over again as I was walking. And that sort of positivity, that sort of programming, that sort of growth mindset was very valuable and important for me.
Mm. Do you remember some of the books you listened to back then?
Yeah. Like there was a Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within. There was, I started to get into like altered states of consciousness and understanding the value of altered states of consciousness to develop better beliefs like hypnosis. And I just met other people that were interested in the same things. And that was a huge positive. So I started to just have friends that were also interested in improving themselves. I had a really good friend who was really into meditation. I had another friend who, we both knew we were going to start businesses. And so we started to reinforce this sort of future that we were all building. And that was really powerful.
When was the 5-minute journal your first idea? Like how did the 5-minute journal come into being?
It wasn't the first idea. It was, it was a few ideas down, but it was the first idea I actually launched. There were other ideas that I was playing around with, but as you get to testing and iterating, all of them died.
Right.
It was the first that saw the light of day that we were like, okay, this is legs enough for us to put out, and we'll see where it goes.
So your first project became absolutely massive.
Yeah. I had a job. I was doing other stuff. I had a series of jobs, but my first project that I started as a business owner.
Right. So you did the 5-minute journal in partnership with Alex. Is that Alex was your business partner?
Yeah.
So just for background, everyone, I met Alex and his then girlfriend Mimi at a cooking class. They showed up here for a cooking class and they were doing some challenge, like a 30-day activity challenge. I don't know, but they filmed the whole class. I was like, I don't know who these people are. Never really saw them again. And then we met like, I don't know, 15 years later. And I was like, wait, I know these people. Like I remember these people. That's how Toronto works. It's a big city, but it's very small.
Yeah.
So you and Alex did the 5-minute journal together, and then you built the company around the product.
Yeah. And the company is called Intelligent Change. And that's the idea, is that we build things that help people experience beautiful change. Mm-hmm. And have it be as simple as you can have it and have it be seamless.
Right. The 5-minute journal is beautiful. I used to give it out when I had a staff. It was part of their welcome package. Again, before I knew you. I don't even know where I found this thing. Probably on Amazon. So how long were you operating that company together?
Well, till I exited. So it's 2018, 2019-ish. We brought in a operations manager in 2018.
Okay. But so how long was the duration that you were with, like working on the 5-minute journal, developing Intelligent Change, to when you chose to leave?
So that's like 7 years, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many copies had sold by the time you left the company?
Over 1 million.
That's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was, and it was kind of a huge, amazing, awesome thing for us
Yeah.
because initially we were like, we'd be happy if it sells like, I don't know, 50,000 copies. But, it really, like we were not expecting it. And it was
Mm,
just a really beautiful thing that it caught fire and
right.
it was the right thing, right place, right time.
At the time when you created it, because I sort of know the journey you're on with a new project, but at the time
Mm-hmm.
you created it, did you think like this is it? You're going to be with this company for like 20 years? And did you see that
Yeah.
future?
No, you don't know anything.
Right.
You don't know anything. You say, this is the best guess I got.
Right. But did you have a
And I'm going to
plan?
roll.
Like, were you like, I want to earn this amount and then I'm out? Or like, had you thought that far ahead in that way? Or was it just like, this is
Well,
working until it's not working?
I knew what my income goals were, and they
Yeah.
were reasonable, like quite reasonable. I would say like they were probably like under 10K a month kind of thing. And I knew whatever I was doing, it was important for me to meet those
Mm-hmm.
and eventually exceed them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. There weren't any like, grand plans or anything like that. And anyone who does those things or say they've done those things, I don't really believe them.
Like to say that they have this plan, they're going to create this thing, they're going to sell a million copies, and then they're going to peace out.
I don't believe that.
No. Books are a mystery.
Yeah,
Like what sells, why they take off. Some of the biggest books I think are junk.
yeah,
I have some books sitting on my shelf that everyone's life would be better if they actually ate what was in those books, but you can't I think coloring books were outselling my books when mine came out. Like you can't predict
yeah.
what picks up.
It's like the wind.
So what happened 6 years ago that ultimately, because I don't know, I'm not just like leading a question. I don't actually know this answer, despite all the
Mm-hmm.
conversations we've had, that led you to exit your own company.
Well, we got to a point where we hired someone to run the operations of the company, and it was clear that my vision of where I wanted to see the company going was different from where Alex saw the company
Mm-hmm.
going, and we were equal partners. And he was a lot more gung ho about his vision, and my reason for getting into business was so I could have the freedom I wanted.
Right.
And so we got to the point where at that point I never really thought of selling the company, didn't really consider it. It's my first company. Like you don't
Yeah.
really think of these things. But then the topic came up, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is an option. And then once we got deeper into understanding what that meant, I figured this is actually a pretty amazing thing. I can cash, and I really have a blank slate to create the rest of my life through. At the time, I was single, zero dependence, early 30s. And I just felt very lucky that I had that opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
be able to really steer the rest of my life any direction that I wanted to steer it and not really be answerable to anyone
Mm-hmm.
or and take on any projects that I wanted to for business or for pleasure.
Right.
I just felt like a really great situation.
So you didn't at any point think like, what if this is the best thing I ever do? And I peaked at 30 and it's downhill.
Well, that's not really like it's not really an empowering way to look at it at all
No,
because
it's a terrible way to look at it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
well, peaking, like what is peaking? Let's talk about that, right? Like what is peaking? Peaking making something that millions of people love? I don't really think so. Like
Mm,
I think is peaking finding the love of my life and like sustaining a deep, long relationship with her such that it brings me joy every single day. Is peaking getting the best shape of my life? Is peaking mending my relationship with my mom? Is peaking launching creative projects that I feel vulnerable about and may not ever be a success, but I'm really glad I brought it to life because it makes me feel more actualized. Like peaking is to me more internally like have a more internal scorecard of peaking
right.
than maybe others.
Okay, let me
So
let me ask this to you a different way.
mhm.
If Your objective in coming to Canada was that you could make a living, a comfortable living, and that by your own actions, you could determine the outcome of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you did it very quickly. I think in some cases, some might think, okay, well, I've achieved all my goals. Now what? Like, that's a potential. Even if you don't look at it as like, I hit my peak, it's like, okay, well, I checked all the boxes on my checklist. Now I need to create a new checklist. And that can leave someone feeling a bit lost.
There was a thing on my checklist that was maybe at the top of everything. And that was seeking the source of my own being, which I knew would take time and energy and effort. And I used to take long retreats, even when I was operating the company and still owned it. But I was just interested in kind of diving in, almost monk-like, into those places. And that was deeply interesting to me. And that's also deeply not commercially viable.
Right. It's not commercially viable, but if you made enough money, you could. I've always thought of you as very monk-like since I first met you. And I don't say that like sarcastically. Like, you very well could have been like, okay, I've now made enough money. I can go to the monastery and sit the rest of my life and explore the source of my being. But you're not doing that. And you didn't do that. You actually did something very different. You got into investing, which is not, I think, what people associate with finding the source of the being. Okay, go on.
I did both.
Okay.
So look, like in a year, I'm probably in some sort of retreat for probably about 60 days or so. You know that because a lot of the times we can't meet because I'm going away for periods of time. So the decision to do that it just brings me so much joy. It's really like if I didn't have that, I don't think I would really want to do anything else. It fills me up more than anything can fill me up. And it's the number one thing in my life, and everyone in my life knows that. And finance, I really took on finance as an art, as something I wanted to become very good at, because I had assets now and I got to manage them. But as I dug deeper into it, I realized I actually really enjoy this. I enjoy the art of finance. The art of finance is really the art of calling bullshit. Because there's just so much of it. And getting the right team in place, getting into the right things and managing or monitoring them to ensure that where your family's going, you're making good decisions for the families, just feels really empowering. It's like being able to fly a plane. It's something that not a lot of people can do, but when you can do it, it's just very empowering and feels awesome. And finance is also one of those things where behavioral awareness is really effective. Understanding when fear and greed are playing into your decision making. Understanding when your previous sense of what was too much is interfering with what may be a good decision right now. And so absolutely, I think I did a ton of money work in the last 6 years or so to just know how to do the best I can with what I have. And these two kind of side by side paths, which seem different, but really work well together. It's been very fulfilling, actually.
We are taking a brief little pause here because I want to share with you a course I created just for you and just for the courageous pivot process. It is called Rise and Shine, a guided approach to heart-led living and leadership. In this course, I go through a very simple strategy, practical tool to help you learn how to tune into your heart, but not just tune into your heart, how to learn to trust the guidance that you receive. This is about understanding the local intuition, the recognition, remembering what it is you already know, and being able to continually build on the evidence to trust the guidepost that is within each and every one of us. I want you to head over to courageouspivot.com. You can scroll down there and you'll find a link to the course Rise and Shine along with a 30% discount. The course is built to take you about 4 weeks to go through. There's 5, 10, and 15-minute meditations included with it. There are beautifully designed slides to go with the presentation material. There's audio-only options for the course. You can listen while you're folding laundry or going for a walk in the park or painting a picture or crocheting a sweater or baking cookies. For me, maybe even. Who knows? I've received cookies in the mail before. Rise and Shine is a wonderful bridge to bring you into this work in a way that is really, really accessible and profoundly powerful and effective. Head over to courageouspivot.com, scroll down, you'll see the link to Rise and Shine. There's a little trailer video that tells you all about it. Register and get instant access and get started today. Your life is waiting, and let me tell you, what is on the other side of the path of the heart is love and joy and freedom like you've never experienced before. So when you exited your company, and we don't have to get into the details because I don't really think it's relevant to this conversation, like the day after the deal was complete, like what did you do? Did you like go to a 20-day silent retreat? Did you lay in bed till noon? Like what was it like transitioning out of being part of this project that had tremendous momentum to not, to having, it ended up being almost 6 years of a semi-retirement. Did that impact your identity? Like what was that, that liminal phase in between? What was that for you?
Well, I would say the next day it was an ordinary day, but it was one of the most free you've ever felt in my life. So there was euphoria. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure I would have meditated and journaled.
Do you recall having any fear?
Fear of what?
I guess what's next? Who am I without what I had done or what I had created?
I can't say there was fear because I would say there's more fear today than maybe there was back then, because there are times in your life where deep in your being, you're in the right place. Mm-hmm. You're in the right place. And that was one of those times.
Beautiful.
And so there was not a hint of fear. And when you're in those places, fear doesn't really exist.
Yes.
It's now when I have a couple of projects coming out and it's been years and I haven't really shipped anything creatively. There is fear. There is anxiety. There is nervousness. All of those things.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the last 6 years, you also met an amazing woman and you got married. And so do you think that attributes to some of your fear and anxiety around putting new things out, putting energy into new things that go out into the world?
It's a pattern I've had since a long time ago. Whenever I start something, whether it be a new hobby or a new, like with my relationship, when I was starting it, I was feeling nervous. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I have start anxiety. I just call it that.
Interesting.
And I acknowledge it. It's usually overblown. I have to manage it. I have to talk to myself, just calm myself down.
Right.
That's how it goes. And once I'm in the intermediate phase, it fades away.
That's so interesting because I feel like most people are excited to start things, but then the reality of what they've started kicks in. But you've got is it like a fear of what am I going to lose if I start something new? Or what if this takes me on a path that goes nowhere and it's a waste of time?
So with the relationship, it's the same everywhere, but I'll just give you the relationship example because it's easy. Is we went from meeting each other to quarantining together. We met during COVID in 2 weeks. So it was very quick. And I'd never lived with a partner before. I've never gone 0 to 60 and so quickly. And so I was vocal about my anxieties. And I said, I haven't done this before, so I might suck at this. And if I do, let's communicate that.
Right.
But turns out I communicate fairly well. and it was totally cool. And it was 6 months later that the anxiety started to fall away. When it comes to new projects, it's really about just 1,000 things. Fear is never irrational. It's just not. And so some of it is, but most of it is totally, old neuro, like it just got into your brain when you're under 5 years old, and you're kind of stuck with it. You can manage it, you can work it out, you can let go of a decent amount of it. You're still stuck with like that initial system most of the time. And so yeah, I deal with it all the time.
So what do you think happens? We're going to go broad for a moment. When
Okay.
people consistently choose the perception of safety, sort of the repeating known, or, the comfort zone over what's real and true.
They die inside. Yeah.
Right.
Because you need that excitement, that newness, that courage, right? That's your podcast name, is the Courageous Pivot. The courage is like oxygen for the heart and for the soul. And if they're not exercising that muscle, it's a muscle. And the cur is like the heart, is the French for the heart. And when you're not exercising that muscle, you atrophy just like any other muscle. But sadly, like you atrophy, like how good you feel, you atrophy your sense of purpose. And it's just bad stuff.
Yeah. Did you experience any of that in the last 6 years? Like a feeling of atrophy or fear that you weren't in there? Nothing.
No, because I was doing a lot of courageous stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of deep meditative work is around letting go of who you think you are. Is around letting go of your identity. It was around letting go of ideas or thoughts or perceptions of who you think you are, basically, your ego.
Right.
And it's brutal work, but it's really worth it because, now we're going into some interesting territory, because who we are is made of some really great stuff. We're made of joy and love. And so to me, that's really worth it. It's really worth the challenge that it takes to sit in meditation and go through the pain period of seeing how the mind is totally nuts, and make it through to the other side where you just can sit and be at peace. Like that's a beautiful thing. It's a courageous thing to be able to see and really witness all the crap our mind is made up of. It's the same kind of crap. It's not that different. We all think it's unique and we're all special flowers, and we kind of are, but we kind of aren't. And so that takes hard work. Maintaining, really great friendships and a relationship, it takes courage. A lot of I really took a lot of time to spend with my parents and maintain those relationships, and that takes work and all of that. If I wasn't exercising that muscle, God, I'd be a different person. Like you wouldn't want to be around me.
Well, you would have a very different, I'm asking you questions, which I kind of know the answer to, but I think your story is very different from most because of the amount of work you've always done in terms of understanding what's real and true versus what's ego, what's, misinformed or misaligned beliefs that aren't actually real or true. Where most people have these awakenings, I think, and it's the first time in their life they've actually listened to something that was coming from their heart or from within that made no logical sense. And instead of answering it, they kind of burrow deeper into what we could call the dead zone of comfort. So short of, telling the mom of 3 who's been in the same job for 10 years and doesn't like it and has a mortgage and a car and all these things, like she probably can't go meditate on a mountaintop or go on a plant medicine journey. How does the questioning process, or what can that questioning process be to kind of light a spark inside, bring some life back in? Where would you go with that question?
Start with what you love. Start with what you love. It could be music. It could be reading. It could be skating. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But find what you love and just dedicate a little bit of time to it. It could be 5 minutes a day. It could be half an hour a week. Whatever is reasonable and doable. Do that. And then do that again. And then do that again. And you're doing something you love is strengthening. It's a courageous act. And the more you do it, the more you sustain that sense of possibility and excitement and openness. And and somewhere deep within, we all have the voice of wisdom. We all have it, right? The quieter you get, the more you're able to listen to that. And to make a commitment that I'm going to do that. I'm just going to listen to it. I don't have to say do what that voice is going to ask me to do, but at least let me give it a shot. Let me listen. Let me write it down, however crazy it may seem. And that those are the first few steps of this process. That's a good start.
Why do you have to write it down, UJ?
When you write it down, there's a word called recognize. And if you split it, it becomes recognize. When you write it down is the first time an idea becomes real. A thought becomes real. You begin to take it seriously because your eyes see it. And now it's not just in your head. It's real. It's on paper. It's a thing that is outside of you now. And that is a powerful step in the right direction. It doesn't take long. It takes a minute. But that minute is a really important thing. Any idea that's ever seen life has always first been put on paper in some way. And that's the evolution of an idea to becoming real.
I love how you define courage in that, and that the first step is to move towards something you love and to joy and something that feels good. Because I think most people think these types of leaps or an act of courage is actually doing something that's painful or terrifying or life-shattering. And it's actually quite the opposite. It's following the path of love most of all.
Yeah, it's so I think that they're not understanding the fact that courage is a muscle. So they're seeing someone's personal record without seeing the reps in between. And these are the reps. Doing what you love are the reps that get you to those points, the personal record. You can't really do that. You'll get injured if you just attempt to do something you've never been able to do before and strain for it. If you're not able to do the little things that take courage, saying sorry, thank you. I don't know. I just wish people said that a lot more because it's hard to know a lot of stuff. It's hard to have an opinion if you really don't understand what the topic is and what the opposite of the topic is. So a lot of the time I just say, I don't know because I don't sufficiently have enough information. It's too much nonsense around. And I don't really engage in those conversations. But I don't know takes courage.
Yeah.
It says, I don't know. There is information that I may not have access to.
Do you think that ultimately, I feel like at the core is people looking for their purpose. Like, why am I here? What am I meant to do? What will be fulfilling? The way you're describing it, it sounds like what you're saying is to find your purpose. It's just a matter of living with integrity, like doing the things that bring you joy, that offer value to your life. Am I wrong? Completely wrong?
I think purpose is about aliveness. Purpose is about aliveness. So if you have a moment of aliveness where you were so alive, you were so vibrant that time stops. Let's say you're looking at a sunset. This is a common thing, right? Looking at a sunset, time stops. You're like, whoa. That moment, nobody's thinking, what's my purpose? Nobody's thinking, because they're not thinking. They're just being. And everyone's purpose is to find that zone of aliveness so they can just be their best versions of themselves. And it's going to be different for you and I. It's going to be different for every single person on the planet. But if you can do the things that bring you aliveness and joy on a consistent basis and do it with reverence for the people around you. That's a purposeful life.
That's beautiful. What are the things you feel like you keep having to give up or let go of or release to keep moving in that direction?
Comfort. This is something you're aware of because we've talked about it a reasonable amount in the last year. But I'd say if there was one thing that I inadvertently kind of got stuck in is in some comfort loops. And I did some reflection and wrote a thing I shared with a few people, including yourself. And I realized, you know what, this no more. I'm hitting eject on this comfort loop. And
with that, as you've said, has come like fear and anxiety around starting something new.
Yeah.
Is that just like standard discomfort for growth? Like is I sort of think that anytime I make a big decision or change, it's like a 24-hour period of sort of like nausea. And then it releases. And I feel like the more I'm getting accustomed to going into these unknowns or taking these big or small leaps, I can kind of gauge, I don't want to say my performance in them, but my comfort in the unknown and how fast that feeling goes away, that I can resume trust in the path I'm following.
Yeah, I think everyone experiences fear. Everyone's got a different fear profile. There can be some generalizations, but I have a different fear profile than you. And and for big changes, like some of the changes we're going through, for big changes, there's more fear.
Yeah.
Because fear is the system's way of keeping the thermostat kind of where it's always been. And so we're changing the thermostat and the temperature is moving up or down. The system goes, ah!
Yeah.
It's just like a kid. You got to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
I've been talking to myself a lot recently. Just chilling myself out.
Yes. I have found in starting this podcast, which is the first, I've created some courses which are very independent about having other humans involved. But in doing this, it's my own fear of blowing it up, not in a negative way, but like making it too big, like what I did with my own business, made it bigger than anything I wanted. It's the fear of that happening that's actually keeping it in alignment with me and what I want. It's like someone said, they're trying to schedule an interview and I could double or triple up in a day and get it all done, which is what Meghan of 2.5 years ago would have done. And I'm like, no, it's gardening season. And that's a fear of like not giving away my life and my freedom again, like you said, like maintaining that freedom to have that alignment.
And there's some fears that are reasonable and there's some fears that aren't. And so all fears must be subject to examination. Must be. Otherwise, you just won't know what's real, what's not.
What's your process for examining that? I sometimes ask before you answer, I'll just jump in and keep talking. Like I sometimes ask, like, is this my intuition or is this my fear? Which is, I still don't I usually have the answer, but I'm curious what your process is in examining.
So you're not going to be surprised here at all because I woke up a journal and I said, okay, I just have a table and I go, what's the fear? And what's the rationale?
Right.
And, and then I look at if the rationale justifies the level and the sort of fear. And we just go down the list. And then again, you recognize, right? You evaluate from a distance. Does this make sense?
Right.
Because really, like our biologies were just fancy monkeys. We're not designed
we're just fancy monkeys. Can we get T-shirts made that say that? We're monkeys with better glasses and accessories.
That's it. We're not designed to like manage portfolios and seek the source of being. We're not, that's not our design. So we have to work at it.
Yeah. How has your relationship with mortality changed? Like or has your relationship with mortality, does it affect how you make decisions?
You're asking good questions, but the questions are going to lead us into weirdo territory.
Let's go there. If anyone's still listening, I mean, they're here for the journey, so whatever.
So, but it's strange and beautiful territory. So I'm glad you're asking these questions. So, for someone who truly wants to seek the source of their being, there's a quote I really love, which is, "You have to die a few times before you can really live." And it's written by Charles Bukowski, who, I can see he's worthy of having written those words. And it's because you have to let go of the processing that is your mind, body, sense system to be deeply, deeply still. And that is a form of death. And it's extraordinarily beautiful and quiet. And there is in that stillness and in that joy, there is a lack of separation. There's a lack of seeing someone and you realize that they're just a part of life, and you're just like you're a part of life. And so I really appreciate the concept of death. I think it's very, very useful, and I live with death as a friend every day because I think it's one of the most important things, one of the most important useful concepts in life. And every time I talk to my grandmother, who's 94, or I talk to someone, I just make sure if that was the last time I spoke to them, I'd be okay. So there are no unspoken things. There's no unsaid stuff. I'm a big fan of direct, reliable, consistent conversations. And knowing that that could be a second away for any of us. No one knows.
Well, it almost was for you, no?
Yeah, it was. I nearly died in a motorcycle crash about 11 years ago. And that was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But, I was very thankful, very grateful to make it out alive. And that became one of the pillars on which my learning now sits. And I'm deeply, deeply thankful for that experience. And so it takes, and if people are still listening, if you're going through a hard time, it can be one of the most beautiful times in your life if you are willing to dig deep within. And my prayer on that hospital bed was, please help me make this useful. Please help me make this useful. At the time, I was sort of like an agnostic. But when you have enough pain and when there's enough suffering, you'll start praying.
Right.
That was my situation. And it became useful. And I'm really thankful for that.
See, when I have challenges in my life, I'm not as evolved as you. And I go into it like, this sucks. I know it's good for me. I know it's taking me to the next level. It's like I'm in the elevator riding up, or I'm in the tunnel waiting for the light. I know intellectually that it will be made useful. I will make it useful. I'll be shown how to make it useful. But I do not do well sitting in the suffering at all. And despite all that I know, my husband, Josh, who he'll like have a fever, be covered in a rash, and he'll be like, look at this. This is so interesting. Like he's like in, having a fever dream in the cosmos. And he's like, this is wild. And I'm just like, make this stop now. And maybe it's just,
for you.
Different people are, go for it.
Where's your edge?
My edge is like right beside me all the time.
Okay.
Like it's the edge. I don't obviously don't really want to be, but I joke that my soul was not here for this time. Like, we're all here for this time, the humans evolving. And it's like, my soul wants to be on a beach sipping a coconut. And time again, I'll have friends be like, no. You're here. And you actually brought all of us here too. You're like, come on guys, this is going to be cool. Come for the ride. But I am so resistant to challenge and discomfort. And I feel I live in it in a lot of ways constantly because of how my mind works or the knowledge I know, or, what I see in the world that I'm like, isn't this obvious to everyone and no one else sees it?
What's easy for you in terms of challenge or discomfort? Is the weather easy?
No, I hate the weather.
Okay, so
Well,
that's
I
a good
like the
place to
sun.
start.
I like the summer weather. I can take business challenges are easy. Logical things, problem
Well, life is
solving,
logical. Weather is
it,
logical.
it can be. Problem. I
Yeah,
mean, having a child, there's nothing logical about the path of a
that's
child.
true.
And as I'm talking to you, my son had taken a face plant 4 feet off a bouncy castle onto pavement 2 days ago. And like, so there's that. And no, I didn't handle it well at all. I mean, outwardly I did, but then
Yeah.
he went to bed and I was crying. Yeah, I find life challenging. I feel like I'm at my edge a lot. And the number of times where I remind myself, like, yes, you're very overwhelmed, but you've been here before and you've done great, is
Hmm.
like the self talk I go through a lot.
Yeah, and that's a great start. I'm curious what else helps you to ride that edge.
Nothing. No, I mean, I go for walks,
Disagree.
I do art, I crochet. How did you
Yeah,
turn the tables on me? This is supposed to be about you.
I'm just
I'm backing
curious.
away into a corner.
I'm just curious
Yeah.
because we all have edges. Like so, when there's an edge that's really challenging, there's usually edges a few levels before
Yeah.
that are less challenging, and we can do more reps with.
Right.
So by the time we get up to, one or two levels, we can take on that
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it becomes easier.
I do the work. Like we all need to. I meditate, I do yoga, I
Yeah.
journal, I go for walks, I make art. I do the work. But I like you talk about it, and every time I read a book, we've read a lot of similar books.
Yeah.
Autobiography of a Yogi. Like I read these books and they're on our shelves, we pull them down, we flip them open at breakfast because we don't use our phones in front of our child as much as we can. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, this feels good to read. This feels good to," and then I remember and I do the work. But I don't have the same discipline or commitment that you do. And and I know it and I teach it. Like I do it all. So that's
Can I
where I'm at.
share a story?
Please.
So recently we went and saw the Mahabharata, which is this ancient Indian epic in play form. And it was really well done. And so at the end of the play, the showrunners were doing a Q&A. And so I had a question. And I asked, because the Mahabharata is like a big, epic kind of story of a family dynamic that goes horribly wrong. And and within it are themes of philosophy and karma and dharma. And it's beautiful and poetic and epic. And in the Mahabharata, there's a section called the Bhagavad Gita, which is essentially becomes the sacred text of the Hindus, where Krishna, who is the cousin of Arjuna, or the warrior, is essentially giving like a one long epic divine lecture on how to go about life and how to exist in life, basically. And the showrunner gave me a really great answer. She said, after the war, Arjuna, same guy, our lead main man, basically, is grieving for all the people who died in the war. And it's a couple of months after the war. He's grieving. He's and Krishna, his cousin, who was the one who delivered the lecture, comes to him and says, "Remember what I told you. Remember my words." And Arjuna goes, "Oh my God, that seems so far away. That seems so far away." And I'm so glad I asked that question because that answer blew me away. It blew me away because that those verses are so epic, and you think this guy will be better, but he's not. He's one of us. He's one of us. He forgets. He's kind of an idiot, you know.
Right.
He's a very skilled archer, but like he forgets. He's got to remember. He's got to go back. He's still got to do his work
Mm,
because without it, he's as good as his memory was two 2 months ago.
right.
And so it was. both enlightening and humbling at the same time because he was just one of us. And so it reminded me to never think enough of myself to let my practice go.
Right. It's like in those like gossip magazine stars, they're just like us. It's like deities, gods, they're just like us. We're all just fumbling along, trying to look like we have it together.
Yeah, everybody goes
Everybody.
to the bathroom.
So what are the patterns that you see and observe, because you are an observer of life, in
Mm-hmm.
people who are stuck? And I'm asking you this so that you can say something so brilliant that everyone still listening is going to be like, oh my God, he's talking about me.
To me, it's when the same things, when they say the same things, the words are the same, the energy is that of defeat or despair or despondency or like a like a given upness.
Uh-huh. Poor little old me.
Say it again?
It's the poor little old me, plums.
Yeah. Yeah. When that sort of thing happens, when the tape is clearly playing over and over again, there is a rut
Right.
that has happened. And really the work is to say, hey, okay, I'm in a rut. Okay, interesting. Who do I know that is not in this that I can trust to hold me with kindness and curiosity and walk me out of this place? And it might not even be someone you know. It could be someone like a podcast,
Right.
right? Like it's amazing. We're in 2025. We have the ability to make AI make podcasts for us. It's so it's that. It's if there is a rut, it's other human beings have been in the same issue you have. It's not like a unique thing that's never been seen before in the universe. You're not trying to solve some like new scientific discovery has been never made before. It's all human stuff. It's all human stuff. And it's solvable. And we all have, shame, guilt, fear, the heavy stuff. We all have it. And so looking at it is maybe the most radical thing someone can do. Just looking at it, just looking without judgment, without shrinking, without a story, just looking through the eyes of love, like you would look at Finn, for example. It's easiest to look with the eyes of love towards the people we love. And it's hardest to actually do this with ourselves. I'm the hardest person to forgive. It's ridiculous. It's annoying. It's frustrating. I'm the hardest person to forgive my whole life.
Yeah.
It's just the way we're built. And so if anyone's listening and they're in a rut, it's solvable. And there are enough people on this planet that can support you in that process. The key is not to bullshit yourself and not to be bullshit by others. That's key. There's a lot of it out there.
So the question, let's go back to this question. How does someone get to the question they need to be asking themselves?
Go where it's uncomfortable. It's a great start. Go where it's uncomfortable. If, I guess the workshop we did was, what's the most important question you're not asking yourself? And we took like 50, like I think we took 90% of the time just defining the question.
Yeah.
And 10% of the time actually like figuring it out and coming out with like one next step. And defining the question is the most important, because if you define it properly, then the answer is kind of shows up naturally.
Yeah.
So go where it's uncomfortable, go where it's painful, go where you haven't had progress in some time, go where it's valuable. Look in the basement of your psyche. There's stuff there. We all got it. And, it's like the stuff we need to do is the hardest to do. It's also the most important. So we all have like a radar for that. And it's important to do it in, a time and place where you feel safe. And that was the other thing, that the times we've done it, the environment, the container was safe. And it was supportive of something like that. It's always good to do it in in a container.
Yeah. This has been great. I love you.
Thank you.
You're a great person.
Love you too.
Glad to know you. I had a question because you have mentioned the questions I ask that they make you a little uncomfortable. Was there anything you were afraid I was going to ask? And you're like, oh, I hope she doesn't go there.
Yeah, about my future projects.
Yeah, so that's my next question. What's coming up? Where is your heart calling you? What's causing you anxiety now?
I can't really talk about it.
I know. Yeah.
Can't really talk about it. Yeah.
But it's big. What you're doing is big. We'll say that.
Thank
and
you.
It's sort of outside of it's all like you created the 5-minute journal, and I think of you in the 5-minute journal, and that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
This one doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
It does in the context of having done the 5-minute journal, but I hope that you or someone who becomes part of this project will come back and chat about it, because
yeah,
I think it's something special. I won't be buying it if that's a clue for anyone, but
great.
But I'm
Great.
not the intended audience.
My goal really is to ship creative projects that really speak to me.
Yeah.
That make my heart sing, and that can touch people deeply. So I've started to make music. This actually I can talk about.
Okay.
Which is as a result of actually our last time we met, I've sort of made a soft commitment to ship an EP by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking like 4 to 5 tracks.
Amazing.
And yeah, when I think of the music, like when I started working with my producer like, what kind of music do you want to make? And I said, I want to make music that makes people cry and believe in God, because that's what music does to me. And in some way, like music is like the purest expression of my creativity. It's just so pure. Journals are a little less pure. There's more going on there. There's less concentration. But ultimately, I'm not the 17-year-old who wanted freedom with a business. Now I'm a 37-year-old who just wants to share love with the people that have, are sensitive to it. So I guess that's been the journey of my pivots. I've really started to appreciate love a lot more. It's an amazing thing.
Thank you for sharing all that. That's a beautiful place, I think, to wrap up. Are you out in the world yet publicly? I know we sort of talked when we spoke on the phone last night, and I was like, used to be on all these podcasts, like when I was doing my research, and then you just disappeared from the interwebs, and then you got some new nice headshots, photos done.
Yeah.
So you back in the world. Where can people find you or follow you? I think you said you had a Substack. Do you have a Substack?
Yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram. Okay. You can also follow me on Substack. I'm sharing things sporadically and once in a while. I am back online, and yeah, I'm definitely not a creator in the sense I don't post on schedule or anything like that, but I am more accessible and more online than I've ever been in many years, and I plan to continue that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time, for sharing your sage wisdom. Any last things you'd like to leave people with who may be at a crossroads? What's next?
I just really think that I'm glad they're listening to you. I think you've got a really unique and sincere voice. And I think sincerity is a really underrated trait. I think people don't appreciate sincerity nearly as much. You're yourself. And most people aren't themselves. It's ridiculous.
Right.
And you're just sincere and honest and clear about, what you think is cool and what you think is not cool. And I just think that's really wonderful. I think people need that in the world. And I'm really glad people listen to this.
Well, thank you. My final question was not fishing for compliments, but I will receive them, and I thank you for them.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, my friend.
You're welcome. This is a blast.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave a review or join the conversation on Substack. Subscribe wherever you listened. It helps, please, and thank you. And if there was something that resonated in this episode, please share it with a friend. Sharing is caring. And to UJ's point and question at the end, if you're in that funk, if you're feeling stuck, if you're recognizing those patterns in yourself, find that person. Maybe that is your assignment for today, is to find the book, the podcast, the person in your life who can offer that spark of inspiration, the spark of courage to invite you to not change your whole life, but start to tune in and listen to what your heart is telling you. And the other thing I love too, by the way, that he said was about following the path of joy and love as a starting place. That I think is profoundly powerful and also might feel like a safe place to start this journey. Thank you for listening. Thank you. We'll see you again next week.